For Lipton Iced Tea, here's Chris Everett Lloyd.
Getting away from it all isn't easy. I just can't get my mind off my work. But when I'm not playing, all I want to think about is the sun and a cool, great-tasting drink. There's only one, the best, Lipton Iced Tea. Any way you like it, it's the best-tasting tea I know. That tastes so good. This is the life.
Atlantic City died twice. The famous old resort of the Steel Pier and the Grand Hotels died when jet airplanes and interstate highways made it easy for families to go elsewhere. The community where people lived and worked and worshiped, that community died after casino gambling came to town. They waited for it with open arms. The merchants seeking trade, the elderly and middle class wanting tax relief, the poor in need of jobs. Everyone's head was so filled with prosperous hopes that few stopped to ask, just what does a casino do? On what does it feed? No one anticipated the vast parking lots in which casinos thrive, or the buses jamming the streets, or the self-contained casino economy which devours just about everything around it. Some of the problems, street crime, prostitutes, the swelling ranks of the homeless, were expected, perhaps inevitable. But who could foresee the city's businesses would be unable to compete with casinos, or a third of the city's housing would be demolished, or that property values would rocket sky high. Land is now so costly, no one can afford to build anything but a casino hotel. The school districts even had trouble finding ground for a new high school because the large parcels of land are either zoned for casino development or held by companies, including casinos, playing the real estate game. Many of the people we talk to hope and believe the city will yet be rebuilt in one way or another. But it will be Casino City, not Atlantic City. The city of the Steel Pier, the Miss America pageant, of families strolling on the boardwalk and children playing in the sand, that Atlantic City is lost forever. And so is the opportunity for what might have been.
It was just a wonderful place to live. It was a warm community. The neighbors were great. Our children went every single day to the beach. We were close. You could take a walk on the boardwalk. You could leave the doors open at night.
We can't begin to imagine how every one of these homes that you see, every one of them was all occupied, everyone. And our house was about a half a block down the street.
Everything has changed. And I just look around, it's just utter devastation. You just can't believe it. It looks like they were burned out, bombed out places. What was here? What was here? You don't even remember because everything has just vanished. All the landmarks.
Only thing that are growing are the parking lots.
When I was asked once what would happen first, I said the blacks and the old people are going to be moved out of Atlantic City. That wasn't a judgment, a racist judgment. It was a statement about what would happen, and they were.
Why did you think that would happen?
Because you can't support the kind of rental, the low-income rental that poor people need in a community where every square foot of land is worth 3 times as much as a parking lot. That's what that's going to be. That's what, from Pacific Avenue over, is going to be a damn parking lot.
Everyone we speak to seem to share the same sentiments, that gambling was a big disappointment, and were they to have the opportunity to vote over again, everyone we speak to say they would not vote for the gambling.
Especially the senior citizens. They lived in all these small apartments. Speculators bought the apartments. They were forced out. There was no place to go, so they just had to leave the area. And you had one vacant building after another. Where we live is in the senior citizen building. That was put up in 1965 or 66. In case the building is sold, in case we do have to move, where are we going to go?
When gambling did come, we were thinking that it would be a sharing of all the newfound wealth amongst the entire community. But what we're seeing is monoliths, which are cities in themselves, self-containing, and therefore there's no need for anyone to venture out into the neighborhoods and into the streets, or to do business with, not just back here on the north side, but even with our main street, Atlantic Avenue. There's It's still decaying. After 10 years, it's still decaying. Average businessman out here is going down the drain.
Well, where are the city fathers?
There ain't none.
Do the casinos run this town?
Nobody runs the town. The town is without a government. It's without politicians. The town just happens. There's no running of this town. There's nothing. There's nobody here that's planning beyond the next 20 minutes.
What about city services in your neighborhood? Do you think the city government is just inept?
The casinos are bringing in, insofar as the city government is concerned, it's bringing tremendous revenues in. Where did it go? It certainly didn't go into the city. It didn't go into making it a nicer environment for those who owned the property or lived in the area.
Your attachment to this piece of land, what explains it?
It really is a veritable paradise when you just take a look at it now, where it's all decayed, and you just see what the resources are to begin with. And you figure, boy, they couldn't let this in a state of decay. But boy, they sure did.
We're very private people, and we don't mix with the element here, and when we come out, we just don't go out and say, oh, look how lovely this neighborhood is. We know what the neighborhood is, and we accept it for what it is. And we don't, we don't have block parties or anything like that. If we go out, it's out of the area. And we just love to look at the ocean and the boardwalk and just enjoy it.
Anywhere else, waterfront property, oceanfront property even, especially, to have this type of decay and right on it, it's almost unbelievable. People come from elsewhere that they can't believe it.
The cancer that destroyed the inlet now has moved down to the central section of town, which destroyed the business, because without people, you have no businesses. I would have to say to you, once you see the infiltration of the casinos to take over completely of Atlantic Avenue, I would say the next step, if I was in business, would be across the street.
And when you see that you have to give up something that you've worked out all your life, or all your adult life, and that you've cherished and nurtured, it's depressing, it's discouraging.
Were you prepared for what the casinos brought?
No, I don't think anybody was. I wasn't, and I don't think anybody else was.
So you were caught off guard?
Well, we weren't prepared. We didn't realize what an impact, what a force the casinos would be, and that would happen so quickly.
This was what, Main Street?
Where we're standing is exactly in the middle of the Central Business District, or what was the Central Business District. What still is.
So to the heart of the city.
It was the heart of the city.
You didn't picture it with all of these boarded up buildings.
No, I didn't picture that. I didn't picture with all these empty lots and a park that needs to be refurbished down the block a little bit and that sort of thing. Those are the things I didn't picture. I didn't picture boarded up stores either. There has been a ripple effect, but it hasn't been in the central part of the city.
Where's it been?
It's been in the suburban areas. That's where the economy and the benefit of casino gaming is most obvious, because the people have moved away from the center of town because of the traffic congestion, because of the pollution, because of the deterioration of the center of the city. Unfortunately, the community has not kept up with the development of the casinos.
What's life here on the boardwalk like now?
The boardwalk has gotten seedy. The stores have gotten, instead of class merchandise, it's inexpensive merchandise, because the people go to the casinos and lose most of their money. They don't buy the $100 gifts. They buy the 99-cent gifts, because that's what's left in their pockets.
You mean they come to see you after they've been to the casinos?
Well, the reason they come to Atlantic City is to go to the casinos. They don't come to see me. They don't come to see the boardwalk. They don't come to see any of the beach anymore. They come to the casinos. That's the only reason anyone comes here.
Can you compete with the casinos?
Well, when casinos came in, I had a large store. I had a 75-foot front on the boardwalk. I was there a year, and they decided that the area that I had would benefit them better if it was a deli. So they basically threw me out. So I moved down the boardwalk and opened a small store and tried to stay to my better toys. Right now, I changed the store to a T-shirt shop. I mean, it's a crime. I have people walk up to my window every day and say, "Is this the store that used to have the big animals? What happened to it? What happened to it?"
But this used to be a family resort. You'd sell toys to children.
there are no families.
No family.
You've got to realize that casinos don't want children. They don't want families. They want the guy with money. There are no families that come. There are no rides in this town for kids to go on. There's nothing to attract children in this town at all.
So many beautiful stores that interested not only the adults, but the children.
We can appreciate Steeplechase Pier for the children. That's already history.
$1 million pier.
And the $1 million pier, as well as Steel Pier.
It's all gone.
They were big attractions for families with children, but that's already that's history.
Being in business in a casino district and starting to raise a family and seeing the changes with the street people and the buses and the traffic and the litter and the noise. I have a 9-year-old son, and as far as playgrounds and things, the playgrounds have pretty much deteriorated. There isn't much for a child to do. It's very tough to keep him from becoming a street kid. We do have the beaches and the boardwalk in the summer, but even still, to go on the boardwalk, there's nothing for a child to do. He ends up hanging out in an arcade in a casino. And it's great to get down the beach with your kid, and there's 3 winos sleeping on the beach. But this is what we have. This is what we don't need.
We put the Golden Nugget Hotel in the neighborhood that's known as Chelsea. And there's some very nice people that live here. But the buses that come to the Golden Nugget, as they do to other hotels, with their diesel engines, go by these homes, and they create fumes. I don't think that it's realistic for someone to think that they can live next door to a casino hotel unless they're willing to accept bus fumes and cars and noises at 3 in the morning.
Chelsea cannot stay the way it is. The Tropicana needs more room. The Golden Nugget needs more room, and so does Atlantis. So I can see no way of it staying the way it is. You'll be seeing more houses boarded up. You'll be seeing more houses needing painting, and that's your first sign of decay from within.
Over half the residents say housing is worse since gambling. And nearly 3/4 claim there is more crime now.
That's spicy barbecue.